all you ghosts and goblins out there. Welcome to the Night Scholars, where we explore the mystifying world of cryptids, ghosts, ghouls, and all things supernatural. We're your hosts, Andrew,
Ashton,
and Sean.
And today is all about everyone's favorite mischievous little cherub, the Roman god of love himself. You'll either love him or you'll hate him, Cupid. So how we feeling today, guys?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I was hit by Cupid's arrow years ago. What about you guys?
I don't know about Cupid's arrow, but I definitely felt like a wave of something hit me as soon as Andrew did that intro. Like, I just feel like super energized now.
That's fair. It was a heck of an intro.
And I am still alone.
And you always will be.
That's not true. He is single and he is ready to mingle, folks. So long as you're over a certain height and dressed a certain way. But I think he might be willing to settle.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's definitely negotiations. I have a type, but...
Last week was all about how we're trying to solve Andrew's future murder. This week is trying to hook Andrew up with one of our listeners.
Oh, no, that's every week.
We are not a cryptid podcast. We are a dating service.
Exactly.
Why not both?
Ah, fair point.
We'll be a dating show. Hello, I am Andrew. I am the biggest, baddest, baldest son of a gun you'll ever meet. Anyway, guys, we're talking about Cupid
What?
today. So, Sean, you want to start us off here, bud?
All right. Cupid is one of the lesser gods of the Roman pantheons, and as such, most of the lore only talks about him and his wife and what they went through. How she looked upon his face as when she wasn't supposed to do that, and broke her mind in some stories.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, apparently, if you look too hard at love, it does weird things to you.
So,
I don't know about you guys because you probably don't care, but I'd much rather look at him as Eros than as Cupid. There's just something about, this gorgeous Greek god versus this little like cherub that, just seems so much more appealing. You guys can relate, right?
I mean, yeah, I get it.
yeah.
The cherub with its cute little arrow versus the Greek warrior.
Now, however, even in Roman mythology, he doesn't always look like a cherub. Sometimes he's a slender young man.
Well, yes, I think that's
That's
what we were saying. But I guess the depiction that I read of him just makes him sound absolutely beautiful. He has a rich head of golden hair dripping with ambrosia, a milk white neck, and rosy cheeks over which there stray coils of hair becomingly arranged. On shoulders of the flying god, their sparkling wings, dewy white with glistening sheen. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Maybe not as attractive as the Wendigo, but sounds gorgeous to
Come
me.
on, Ashton. I mean, that description just sounds like you were looking at a picture of Andrew. So maybe minus the wings.
I don't think that's quite accurate. But
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen Andrew, and Andrew's a lot more mountain man.
that is
Like, Eros
true.
just sounds like
Are you saying he looks more
Japanese
like
Korean
Vulcan?
man pretty.
You see, the centerpiece of my look is my beard. I do not hear a beard on this on Arrows here.
Yeah, I don't think that he has a beard.
I don't remember beards being in fashion in Greek culture, but it's been a minute.
You see, normally I'm more compared to Hephaestus, but
Did
Good
you
old
say it's
Vulcan.
asbestos?
Hephaestus.
She said
Asbestos?
asbestos.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, at some point I'll get to the right word.
If
Exactly.
your loved one has mesothelioma,
It's because of me.
He does work at a hospital.
I
that's
do.
true. He does.
I do. As a security guard, though.
Uh, so, Ashton, were you able to find anything about him? Cupid, not Andrew.
Um, so yes, I was, and I really think that the issue with Andrew is that instead of any girl around him being hit with his golden arrows, which are there to arouse desire, I think they've all been hit with the leaden arrows, which ignite aversion.
Highly possible.
I am so sorry, Andrew. You were apparently the butt of this episode.
Oh, that's alright. I wouldn't say they're hit with the lead arrows. It's more just I'm not great at talking to women. I also don't leave my house a lot, so.
That would help.
Yeah. But I guess I didn't really realize until I was doing research for this episode that he had two different arrows because whenever you think of Cupid, like I think at least like modern pop culture, you typically just hear about like Cupid's arrow and you just think that all of them are just like if you get hit by one, then the next person that you see you like fall madly in love with them. And so it was kind of like a pleasant little thing to see the mischievous side of him with the leaden uh arrows that also.
I agree.
I did see a couple times that he would sometimes kill people by giving them a broken heart. So that might be that part of those leaden arrows.
I mean, it could very well be. People and lead don't really go well together.
That's true.
They do not. But let me tell you the wonders that it does for paint.
Oh, I thought we phased all that out of the paint, all the paint out.
No, we don't use it anymore, but I mean, a good coat of paint doesn't last like it used to.
That's
I will take your word for it.
the problem is he isn't
I
wrong. I would just rather have my brain function normally.
mm, I'm sorry, are you implying that your brain functions normally?
That is in fact what I was implying. Are you
You
trying to say
implying that
something
your brain
otherwise?
functions?
Because I wasn't aware that any of our brains function, to be honest.
You may have a point there.
Um, but anyways, back to Cupid. Oh, by the way, for this episode, or at least I will probably be switching back and forth between the Greek name and the Roman name. So we have Eros and Cupid, same guy. Think a lot of people know that. Also, probably going to be talking about his mother, uh, Venus, also known as Aphrodite, depending on which one. It's the same guy across both Greek and Roman culture.
Now, one thing I was able to discover, speaking of his parentage, is that in some of the oldest myths, he was a child directly of chaos, making him older than even the Titans.
Yeah, I saw that he in the Theogony, if I'm pronouncing that correctly,
Probably not.
was one of the primeval cosmogonic deities that was born of the world egg.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, there
Most.
are other reports that say that he was born of Nyx and Erebus, or of Aphrodite and Eris, or of Iris and Zephyrus, or of Aphrodite and Zeus. And the accounts of him being born under Aphrodite and Zeus do state that Zeus would be both his father and his grandfather.
Yeah, I also saw that he was just born of Aphrodite, no father, that she just conceived him. And I also saw at least one mention of Hermes, the messenger, as a possible father, but nothing to corroborate that. It was mostly either Ares or Zeus.
You see, I could see Hermes Even Apollo.
Oh, that would make sense.
That's just because of the wings, though, mainly.
Anyways, one of the first mentions of him was in this book from 200 AD, written by Apuleius, called Metamorphosis, which is like an 11-part novel, also known as the Golden Ass. And in that depiction, it's very important that his mother is Aphrodite.
Now, here's one thing I saw. I'd have to find the statues again, but I did see a couple things, and he said it was a reference, and it's that he and the god of death, Thanatos, were either cousins or brothers. Or that was mentioned a couple times, that love and death were very similar. So the whole family tree is weird.
Look, when you're dealing with Zeus and the amount of things that he sicked himself into, it's not surprising.
I mean, he is responsible for 80% of Greek mythology.
I mean, it's only weird some places. If you go to, like, Alabama, it's probably pretty normal for your grandfather to
That's
also
true.
be your father.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do not have a relative whose daughter at one point was both her granddaughter and her daughter.
Yep.
Good old Alabama.
Good old yeehaw about Bama.
Yep. No, that's a pretty common thing in Greek mythology, though.
Hey, so it's not that, it's being redneck and backwoods hicks, it's that they are emulating the Greek gods.
Exactly, like I believe they call it keeping the bloodline pure.
Without the benefits of the gorgeous bodies.
Yeah, it also happened a lot in like, old Europe. A lot of the royal families would use inbreeding like that to try and keep the royal bloodline pure, especially when they were the families who were like, oh, we were ordained by God or the gods to rule. Like they would believe that their lineage specifically was chosen, so they'd keep it all in the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like who cares about all the deformities that happen to somebody's face so long as they are chosen specifically by the gods to rule?
Yeah.
Can't question me. I was chosen by the gods.
Yep.
Just to question me is to commit blasphemy.
I can't even
That's a
talk
good way.
straight because my jaw like protrudes so much and it's difficult, but I was chosen. I am the special one.
Also, kind of like that guy from Family Guy. You know which one I'm talking about.
No.
It's the rich guy, and he has the really, really big lower jaw on his.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
You're talking about. I don't really watch Family Guy though, so
That is fair.
but
It stopped being good years ago.
is his name Quagmire?
No, not him. No, there's a side character.
Oh, okay, because he kind of has like that protruding jaw too, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's just a character design on him. But no, it's somebody totally different. It's a niche character that I just so happen to remember.
I haven't watched Family Guy in years.
It's a guy that's yes. But anyway, it's some rich guy in the show, not the grandpa, but just some other guy that shows up in like 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, is Quagmire the grandpa?
No. Quagmire is the next door neighbor.
Who's a weirdo. Put it lightly.
I follow Family Guy so hard.
Exactly.
I thought Joe was the neighbor.
Joe is the neighbor on the other side. There's 2 neighbors. And then Cleveland lives across the street. Anyway,
or did he move back?
After his show failed.
Anyway, so what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by Sean earlier was that one of the things that I thought it was fun to hear about or to learn about Cupid was all of his pranks. Like there was one time where he shot a one of his golden arrows at Apollo to get him to fall in love with a nymph named Daphne, and then
Hmm.
he shot a leaden arrow at Daphne to make her absolutely repulsed by Apollo. And I think that's fun because if you're going to have the power to make people fall in and out of love, then why not cause chaos?
It's good stuff there. You chase her for years, and she wanted nothing to do with him.
Is there any way to reverse it, or are you just basically just stuck?
I think Cupid could shoot you with the other arrow. Oh, but I don't see why he would. He finds it too funny.
Does it say that it's a permanent effect? I mean, do we know that there's not a time limit on this thing?
As far as I can tell, it is permanent. This was thousands of years ago. Who knows? If it's would still have the same potency as it did as today as it did back then.
Yeah, because I think if it was reversible, then he might have left his wife Sihi when uh she saw his face, even though he told her not to. Because so I didn't know this until I started looking into this, but I'm going to call him Eros for this because Eros is the hot one. Um,
Ashton.
I'm sorry, but he is literally the handsome god of love. That is the description that I found, for his full legitimate name is the handsome god of love, not just the god of love, but the handsome god of love. And so I didn't even know that he was married until I started doing research for this today. But uh the way that he ended up meeting his wife was because his mother, according to this tale, was Aphrodite, and she became incredibly jealous of the mortal named Sihi, who was absolutely beautiful, and people would come to her and they would bestow her with gifts, and they would no longer go to Aphrodite's temple because they were just so infatuated by Sihi. And so, out of jealousy, she asked for Eros to go and set her up basically with like a hideous monster. And he went to do so, but upon seeing her, he ended up becoming like so infatuated and accidentally stabs his own self with a golden arrow and fell in love with her. And so he basically set up this whole thing where I think with like the help of I don't know if it was actually on purpose, but it kind of seemed like it from my reading with the help of the wind, they were able
Mhm.
to bring her down from where she was to meet the god, which there's so much more about that. But anyways, basically able to set up an arrangement to get the two of them to meet, and she ends up discovering this beautiful castle, and there's this invisible like man that she ends up realizing as her husband, but she's never allowed to see him. Like he'll play the lyre for her, like he talks to her, but he has one rule where she's never allowed to see him. And her sisters are just like, hey, like according to the Oracle of Apollo, you were supposed to be destined to marry this like hideous like monster that even the gods fear. So I bet it's just going to come out and like attack you. And so in the middle of the night, she goes and she looks at his face in the middle of the night and like sees like this beautiful man, this beautiful god, and he gets like really angry at her, and abandons her, and through like a bunch of like different trials, she ends up proving herself to be like this worthy match and is made immortal, and they live forever, I guess. I don't know. Feel like
In some
Greek and
versions, yeah.
Roman mythology, they don't technically live forever, or they don't stay together forever, but I'd like to say that they do, because this is a Valentine's Day episode, and damn it, I believe in love.
So you're going with the happy ending version of the tales where her mind didn't get wrecked.
I am, because unlike you, I'm not a cynic.
Just gonna call me out in front of all of our listeners.
Yeah, our listeners who probably know that I'm a cynic.
Yeah.
I don't think in the 13 years I've known you I've ever heard you say you believe in love. So that's a new one.
I mean, you don't have to talk about the things you believe in.
That's fair.
I'm trying to figure out whether I think that that statement is false, and I don't think it's false. Eh, The only thing that's false is that technically, Sean, I've known you for almost 14 years now.
Yeah, fair.
But do you believe in love at first sight?
Absolutely not.
No, I think that that is very stupid and has been proven wrong multiple times over.
I believe it is just attraction and infatuation.
Yes.
But the real question is, do you believe in life after love?
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
That's a terrible song.
So
It's a terrible song, but I had to.
We did talk about what he looks like. Did we talk about what his characteristics actually symbolize?
Mm-mm.
So I have here Cupid's wings are meant to represent the flighty and fickle aspects of love. He is also portrayed as wielding a bow and arrows with very special powers. Any human or even god who is struck by one of Cupid's arrows becomes overcome with love and desire, making him the perfect catalyst for a number of myths, but sometimes he is depicted wearing a blindfold to symbolize that love is often blind. Or short-sighted, as you will. You see, if she really wanted to look at Eris's face, without going crazy, she probably should have just wore her rose-colored glasses, right?
That's fair. That's interesting. I've never seen a statue of him blind. The only god that I ever know is blind is Nemesis.
Yeah.
Goddess of justice.
Yeah, that is fair.
That would make sense that Cupid would sometimes blindfold himself.
I mean, it's not the most popular description, but there is a description of him, wearing a blindfold. It's just not the most well-known one, I suppose.
Right. I mean, the most popular depiction of him is the one that 19th century Victorians made him into, which is just the stupid fat baby.
Stupid fat man is how he was in Supernatural. So I'd say that it's been pretty accurate throughout the years.
I mean,
Look, Sean,
at
just
least
because this is a supernatural podcast doesn't mean that you have to talk about the actual show Supernatural.
Now, I was going to think of other pop culture, and pretty much every pop culture thing I can think of is always they're overweight and wearing a diaper and have a little cute little bow. I very rarely see them as the Greek warrior.
also a baby.
Yeah.
You should probably mention that.
Also, usually a baby, not always.
But always overweight and wearing a diaper. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, there is the skinnier version of him still wearing a diaper on the Fairly Odd Parents. Do either of you remember that?
Vaguely.
Barely, yes, but I do remember that. I think.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar. I could picture it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's honestly the only show that I have watched that's depicted Cupid. Like, I mostly just see him on like the greeting cards and everything.
Yeah.
Wasn't he in Fantasia?
I have no idea.
It's been years since I've watched that movie. I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
Although, I mean, like, I think the most like pop culture reference to him that like always comes to my mind whenever somebody says the word Cupid. It's just the Princess Diaries where they're all like singing Stupid Cupid for whatever reason.
Ah,
It's like
fantastic.
they go to like a party and they like all start singing it. Or not all of them, but like the popular girls are singing it.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the song Cupid?
The song Stupid Cupid.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew,
So,
do you know much about him in pop culture other than what we've already discussed?
no, I was going to go further into a description, though, if that's okay with you guys.
Go for it.
So, you know how in a lot of, like in Victorian times, he was depicted more as like a cherub or cherubim?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, would you guys like to hear what a biblically accurate cherubim looks like?
Ooh, this is a good description. Go for it.
They are described as having the likeness of man and having 4 faces, that of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. The 4 faces represent the 4 domains of God's rule, which I'm not going to go into that. But they also apparently have 4 hands and 4 wings.
I love
Right.
the actually correct descriptions of angels. It's so fun.
It is, but instead of getting that, we just got little baby with wings instead of this horrifying creature. Like people, when you hear them talk about, like, you know, say that the Christmas story where the angels say, "Be not afraid," this is why.
That is exactly why. Every
is
time an angel talks, the first words are "Be not afraid."
because if I saw something with 4 heads and a bunch of wings and, like, you know, an innumerable amount of eyes, I would probably be afraid.
Right? Like being not afraid is like, listen, I'm gonna be afraid, okay?
Yeah, like
I mean, it's something out of a Lovecraft nightmare.
basically, yeah. God, I love biblically accurate angels so much. But hey, if he does
I
have
love
4 hands, that means he could hold 2 bows, you know?
That's true.
Like, I'm
I
gonna
mean, I wonder what happened. I mean, I guess it just cancels itself out. Never mind. I was like, what happens if you strike somebody with both at the same time? But literally, it would just cancel itself
it
out.
would, or one right after the other. I assume they would have the effect of the most recent one to hit them, right?
Right. Ashton, did you find anything on his brother, or Antieros? Also, I saw him
Uh,
mentioned once or twice.
no, I really just kind of went into more of a deep dive on Sihi than I
Uh,
did anything on him. Like this turned into a research not about Cupid for me. So if you have that, then you can go ahead.
I couldn't get a description of him. Like I said, I only saw him mentioned once or twice. But he was the god of unrequited love, which just sounds awful.
No, that's just
Oh,
me.
which
Yeah, I'm that
that's just
guy. Yeah.
Okay, you're a god now.
hey, he said last week he wasn't an ordinary human. I guess he was just being humble.
Yeah, but instead of having cool powers, I just love people and they don't love me back, you know?
That's fair. Sounds
So
like
in the last
the worst.
episode, we mentioned that we were trying to solve your death before it happened. Which one do you think will happen first, your death or you finding true love?
I mean, I know which one I hope happens first.
Why not both?
But
Why
like
not both?
realistically,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be both, Sean. With the type of women I like, it could very well be both.
Ladies, get you a man who's not afraid to die.
Also, not very easy to kill. Though. Well, to be fair, I guess a bullet could do it, but women normally tend to go for stabbings or poison, so I like my chances.
and we just learned a new thing about Andrew, folks. He can't be stabbed,
Or poisoned.
harmed from stabbing.
No, I could. I'm just larger and stronger than most people, and if I can probably get the knife away from them before they kill me. I would probably still end up horribly injured, but I would be alive.
Would you though?
Hey, he said he's a god. I don't know of any gods you can beat by stabbing them.
And I mean, to be fair, if she's pretty enough, I mean, sometimes if she wants to kill you, you just gotta let her, you know? I mean, I'm sure Sean would let his wife murder him.
Yeah, probably. Because I'd probably have done something to do it.
Yeah.
I'd probably have done something to have deserved it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to stop this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's been a running joke between Will and me for a while about how he's supposed to like murder me in a very specific spot. So
Is
he
it a
thinks that
joke?
it will be me though. I don't know. I've not been to that spot yet. So he hasn't
I
had a
mean,
chance to prove it yet.
I have more money on you killing him than him killing you.
Yeah, so does Trent, our friend Trent. Hi Trent.
Yeah, I don't know. I
But
mean, Will's pretty laid back. You seem more like the one who would uh what was it called? An act of passion, you know?
look, just because I am the only one who has murdered in our D&D campaign doesn't
Yep.
mean anything.
I think it does. I think that means a lot. The rest of you are a bunch of pacifists.
Yeah, hey, in a previous campaign I played Aldrich as he used his warhammer and just like knocked the head off of a hack. So you just got to give him the right enemy, you know?
I gave you an entire castle full of enemies and you converted them.
Well, yeah, they were just goblins. They didn't mean no
Mm.
harm.
But would Aldrich be able to pass all of the tests that he had to do in order to regain her relationship with Eros?
I don't know. What were the tests? Do you have the trials in front of you?
The goddess of agriculture, Ceres, ended up taking pity on Sihi and told her to pledge service to Venus in order to win her forgiveness. When she arrived, Venus had her whipped and beaten and mocked by her handmaidens, whose names were Worry and Sadness, which I thought was interesting. I haven't gone into that in detail, but I kind of want to after reading that. And after doing so, she gave her a task that was supposed to be impossible in order to win her favor. And that was to sort grains of wheat, of barley, of millet, of poppy seed, lentils, and beans into because they were just like in a clump in front of her, and she was supposed to divide them into their own stacks by the end or by the next day. And it wasn't supposed to be possible at all. But then there were ants who saw her and they ended up helping her and they sorted all of the piles for her. And uh, Venus was still not pleased when she saw that and gave her another impossible task, which was to obtain fleece from violent rams. And she was absolutely terrified of this task, and she thought about killing herself in the river because she didn't think that it would be possible, and she didn't want to be killed by the rams. But the river heard of her plans and told her to wait until the midday sun had come out because that was when the rams would be much more calm and she was able to shear them without them minding. And still, Venus was not pleased and told her that she needed to go and collect black water from the river Styx. And Jupiter, in this case, the god Jupiter, ended up having his eagle do this task for her. And then, still not satisfied, Venus gave her a final task, which was to take a golden box down to the underworld and to obtain some of Persephone's beauty. Um, while she was down there, a tower warned her to not accept any offerings from Persephone, and she was able to collect the beauty because she did not accept any offerings. But of course, this is where she ended up kind of failing, and she ended up opening the box because she thought that if she had this in front of her that she should see it, and she ended up collapsing because of it.
Mm.
But at that point, uh, Eros had completely healed from his injuries from the wax that she had dropped on him, and ended up coming to her rescue and asked Jupiter to make her immortal. And again, that is where they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, that's
It was
pretty
really
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so, Andrew. That's the test you need to put for your future wife is have her do all of that, and then you'll know she's good enough for you.
Well, here's the thing. The first one I don't think is legal.
The first
Probably
one's just
not.
sorting stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one was getting beaten, whipped.
No, she just got beaten with because Venus was a jealous bitch.
That
That's
is
the other
fair.
half of Greek mythology is Venus was a jealous bitch. Zeus is horny and Venus was jealous.
Which makes sense. If I had a suitor who slept with half of the pantheon at least, then I would also be.
I mean, how would you react? What would you do?
I would be a jealous bitch.
No.
You just said this, Andrew. Pay attention to her.
I mean, do you have anything specific you would do?
Oh no, I think that those tasks were absolutely miserable, especially the River Styx ones. Like that's just harsh.
No, I agree. Although I do kind of disagree that she would want to drown herself rather than be killed by a ram. Because yes, the ram would
I
be more violent, but drowning I think is just honestly a worse way to go than mauling.
That's true.
The mauling I feel like it might take technically longer, but it would feel much quicker than drowning would.
would we like to test this theory?
Or after, or we do an episode with him in person.
Fine.
Why? I mean, it depends on what I'm being mauled by, I guess.
The Wendigo, obviously.
I was gonna make a joke that I'm not gonna make. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would be over pretty quick.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Because, like, at least if she jumped into the river, then she might bang her head against a rock and then she would just bleed out
Yeah.
and be unconscious.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That wouldn't be as bad,
Anyway, this
but
is an episode about love.
yeah. I mean, some of it could be about love, I guess.
Perhaps.
I mean, I'm sure somebody's into being drowned.
The links you'll go through for love.
Yes. This is a story about love. All of the links that she would go through, which technically she didn't do any of them by herself, but she was just so beautiful that everybody was willing to help her.
Well,
Hey, it could have been worse. At least she didn't have a war started in her name, which is what happened
that's
the last
true.
time Aphrodite, Venus got jealous.
That is true. I mean, you know, look at everything that Wesley went through for Princess Buttercup.
That's true.
You know, he went to sail to find his fortune, and then he was captured by the Dread Pirate Roberts, and then he became the Dread Pirate Roberts and saved her from Prince Humperdinck.
Hey, spoilers.
Yeah. The movie is like 40 years old. Is it really? It came out in 1989. It was on VHS. Like,
Anyways, this episode contains spoilers.
Yeah.
For a 40-year-old movie.
Hey man, maybe, all of one person in the world hasn't watched it.
I mean, that's fair. It is my favorite movie, though. Half of the cast
Yeah.
aren't even alive anymore.
Do you want to close us out with a montage or with a monologue from it?
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream, and love, true love. That's all I got.
Beautiful. Join us next time for another episode of the Night Scholars. And if you miss us in between the times, we are on Twitter at _Night Scholars, where we talk to ourselves all day long. It's a good time.
We
really
do.
do, and it is.
And only some of us, say who we are. So half the time you have to guess.
Where's the fun in signing your name when I could just easily blame it on Ashton?
We also have a TikTok now at the Night Scholars, where we, have little clips of our podcast. We also have different videos from each of us when we, kind of post things related to the supernatural. I believe we even have some of Ashton's storytelling on there. I know we have her reading the poem about the Yule Cat, but yeah, all kinds of stuff on there as well. So if you like listening to us here, you can follow us on there, interact with us. We do respond to messages as soon as possible, of course.
And we also have a Patreon if you would like a cool sticker.
It is a very cool sticker.
Yes, they have they have actually already seen the reference that I made for it, and the stickers. I've talked to the artist. I have the invoice for it. We just have to wait for it to be made, and I will get them printed as soon as I can.
And on that note, have a good night and happy Valentine's Day.
And watch out for them leaden arrows.
Thank you again, our ghosts and goblins, for listening to the Night Scholars. You all be good to each other. Don't answer the scratching at your window.
Or do.
But most importantly, stay safe out there.
Good night.